tempo deck. It's more of a control deck.
Yep. I remember you and I in Somerset when we were doing the Invitational there, when we watched Eric Smith win there and watched Gerard Fabiano actually win the Legacy Open. They were playing Blue White Red Delver, very close to this, this list, this style of deck. But before they had Geist of Saint Draft.
Well,
Now
they have a better 3-drop.
they have a much better 3-drop, obviously, in True Name Nemesis. So we saw that deck pick up then. It had a dominant weekend for Eric Smith and Gerard Fabiano. It still picked up some steam, still put up some top 8s and all that stuff. But we saw Esper Deathblade come back. We saw Imperial Painter come back over the course of the year. All that good stuff. Then True Name Nemesis comes out. Rogue Delver kind of goes by the wayside, even though we have 3 of them in the top 8. But we don't have one in the finals. We've got Blue White Red Delver in the finals, a deck that won Grand Prix Washington, D.C. in the hands of former Player of the Year Owen Turtenwald. And now it's in the finals of our last Open of the year. It would be interesting to see this one take it down. It would also be funny because at the beginning of the year, in the first Legacy Grand Prix Denver, John lost in the finals there. Will it happen again?
So coming full circle.
That's what we're doing. You noticed.
Right. Yeah, John, beginning of the year runner-up. Will it win or be the runner-up in the last tournament? Hard to say. The Delver decks, these Delver decks have been really popular for the last month or so, but John is kind of a deck that really has been hanging out on the fringe the entire time. Now I'm wondering if it has to do with True Name Nemesis becoming so prevalent in the metagame that we're starting to see more of these sacrifice, black-based decks. Players like Reed Duke have moved as far as to play Pox in Legacy just because of True Name Nemesis.
I think people are going through drastic measures to take care of this card. You see both players are opening up their Modern Masters giveaway cards. I think that's an Eternal Witness on Jacob Wilson's side. That's a foil.
That's a foil Eternal Witness.
I believe that's the case, which is going to be the playmat for Grand Prix Richmond. Yep. Foil Eternal Witness. I don't know how much that's worth. That's like a non-zero
That's sweet. I have a cube which has Eternal Witness in it. My 5th Dawn Witness is not a foil. That was a sweet card.
Gonna go have some chats with Jacob after the match?
Possibly. Depends if I have anything good to trade for it.
We see both players shuffling up here for game number 1. Again, Cory's going to be on the first. Wilson's going to be on the draw. John versus Blue Red Delver. I don't know, man. Cory, he snuck by Shahar, but it looks like and I know you were covering the match, it looks like he may have crushed Ricky pretty badly. 2-0.
Yep. It was 2-0. It was solidly 2-0 both games.
All right, well, you see both players. They're laying out their opening hands as we're going to begin our finals. Our third day of coverage is just about over, but we got to crown one more champion and do one more match. Cory taking a look at his opening hand. And there's a Liliana. There's a few lands in there. And, of course, he does have Punishing Fire in his deck list, so he's the Punishing Jund variety.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to do the whole set of Disruption. He's got what I think discard into discard into discard. He for sure has the Liliana and the Hymn to Turok. If he can cast all of them, he can really tear apart Jacob Wilson's hand.
Wooded Foothills is where we shall begin. He also has a Grove of the Burn Willows in his hand, too. He's going to sacrifice this right now. Want to play around Stifle for starters. Let me see if he actually has his...
Jacob
doesn't
play Stifle.
Yep.
Remember, Cory gets to know that.
Yep.
Because this is a finals match.
He's going to search for a non-basic, so he does open himself up to Wasteland.
Yeah, Cory's hand's a little land heavy. He can probably afford to get Wastelanded right now. It's probably more important that he's able to cast his cards on curve and he gets the correct mana right now. Jacob's deck does need lands a little more than you'd expect from a traditional Delver deck. I imagine Jacob's going to use his lands more as utility wastelands to destroy Grove of the Burn Willows than he will just as straight mana denial cards.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important to make sure that you just do keep Grove off of the board, as Wilson's going to start off here with a Delver of Secrets.
Yeah, he has a Force of Will, Swords to Plowshares, Stoneforge Mystic, and Jataxian Probe in his hand. We saw there he decided not to use the one of Jataxian Probe, just to rather wait and feel out when he actually needs to know what Cory's hand is.
See a Badlands there by Cory. He's going to play that. It looks like we're going to run out the old Hymn to Torak. I wouldn't be surprised if this bites a Daze that Jacob does have in his hand.
Yeah, you'd have to pretty much count on Jacob dazing this. He could let it resolve and hope that he still has land and Stoneforge Mystic left over when the dust settles. But if Cory gets one of those pieces, then Jacob really does end up down.
Jacob's kind of thumbing through his hand here. He's also got the Force of Will. The interesting thing here, is that if he does daze this, as you mentioned, he's down on land, so he won't be able to play Stoneforge on turn 2.
Yeah, he could pitch Jataxian Probe to Force of Will to counter this.
It's almost like him accomplished what he wanted to then.
It discards 2 cards, but remember, it means that Jacob still has land number 2 and still has Stoneforge Mystic. In the end, though, I think he's going to take the day's play. He'd rather not get 2 for 1 by Jund.
Checking for blackjack. Delver's going to flip. And you see Wilson's going to put that into
flips
play
and puts
tab.
it sideways.
Yeah, giving the beatdowns right now. So you're going to take 3. Going to push Cory down to 16.
But as we know, because Jacob is a little down on land, it will maybe provide an opportunity to play one of the 2 Liliana of the Veils that he sees in Cory's hand.
So you Grove of the Burn Willows, a Wasteland, double Liliana, and a Verdant Catacombs in the hand for the Jund player here. So he could go with a Wasteland next turn, could Cory, but he could also just try to establish the Planeswalkers. Wilson doesn't have any land yet, draws a Stoneforge Mystic, gonna play a fetch land, so now Wasteland is a no-no.
Yeah, so he's doing right here is he's protecting his turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic from Wasteland by playing a fetch land first. Next turn he'll play the Duel and the Mystic.
Punishing Fire the draw here for Cory this turn. Don't forget again that he does have Grove of the Burn Willows in his hand. And he can attempt to establish Liliana this turn, or you could just say, Punishing Fire this, I don't want to take any more damage.
Jacob has to know that wasn't there last time he checked. And Jacob knows he's got the Grove of the Burn Willows too. That's got to set off some red flags right there.
And this combo of Grove of the Burn Willows plus Punishing Fire is obviously very difficult for the Blue-White Red Delver deck to overcome. True Name Nemesis is the one up to that, of course.
Yeah, so we see on turn 2 Jacob's going and he's going to sack his fetch land. Looks like he's going to go for that Stoneforge Mystic here.
Does he search up Batterskull? Does he search up Umzawa Shite? We'll see in just a moment. Those are the only 2 equipment in his main deck. He does have a Sword of Feast and Famine in his sideboard, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and looks like he's just going to get the Batterskull. That will force Cory, at least on this turn, to go ahead and recast the Punishing Fire to get the Stoneforge off the table. Cory probably really doesn't want to let Batterskull get into play before there are 5 lands for Jacob.
So Batterskull in the grip, Stoneforge in play again, as we did mention. Grove of the Burn Willows in Cory's hand. He does have the Punishing Fire in the bin, so he could attempt to take care of the Stoneforge Mystic on the next turn.
And this is really what we've seen Cory been doing to the Delver decks all evening, is that he's been using this Punishing Grove engine to just grind them out of cards. We see the Delver players slowly, their hands will run out, as Cory just continues to have more and more 2-for-1s.
Kind of funny because when I think about Jund, I really think of just this ridiculously fair deck. Not only is it fair, but it doesn't even play blue. But
yeah, it doesn't play blue. It doesn't really make sense that it would be that he can run the other decks out of cards.
Yeah. But yet here we are in the finals, the first seed in the tournament. We also saw 2 of this deck make the top 8 of the Invitational in the hands of Taya Steele and Eric Smith. Punishing Fire going to target that Stoneforge Mystic. Is this worth casting Force of Will on?
It looks like it is. It's going to pitch the Brainstorm to force this Punishing Fire.
Now this is interesting because I think that Jacob is kind of inducing a Wasteland here.
Yeah.
And is he okay with Wasteland happening? You see a Tundra in his hand, so he is.
Yep.
He's got to go after. He's going. I think predictably going to go after the White Source, right?
Yeah. He wants to try to stop Stoneforge Mystic from activating. I mean, it's one of those half-hearted tries. You know, if Jacob probably would not make that Force of Will play if he didn't have another White Source in his hand.
So Cory sees the Tundra come down. Take a draw here. Will Cory draws another land, so he's got plenty of lands, and again he's got the Grove.
Yeah, well, so Jacob is going to be able to get the Batterskull into play, but Cory, thanks to Liliana of the Veil, is going to get to Edict away the Germ token. And Jacob will get the Batterskull into play, but may have trouble getting it onto a creature.
The important thing here, obviously, for Cory is just how he sequences his cards. You know, I think he's at an advantageous position right now because he has double Liliana and he has Grove plus Punishing Fire going. So he's got the answer to Stoneforge Mystic, and then he'll have the answer to the Batterskull, as you mentioned, with one of those 2 Lilianas. And then he just needs kind of a way to close out the game. So he's sitting pretty right now as he looks like he's going to return that Punishing Fire.
Yeah, I like that how he's really getting maximum value out of all of his cards. You know, he could use Liliana to get rid of the Stoneforge or maybe a Batterskull at that point, but instead he's just going to keep rebuying the Punishing Fire until Jacob finds a way to deal with it.
Yeah, I like this because, you know, once Jacob draws a Wasteland, he'll take care of the Grove of the Burn Willows, but until we get to that point, I think you just go, okay, I'm going to use this as many times as I can. Shoot down the Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, you can have your Batterskull, that's fine. I've got answers for that, which of course Wilson knows about because of the Gataxian probe. So I'm fine with taking 4 to get rid of that Stoneforge, and then my Liliana will be good to go.
Right. So Jacob now does have a Germ token in play. He's going to get to hit once with it, but he'll be hard-pressed to protect that Germ from Liliana.
Ponder to begin for Wilson.
But we do actually see another Stoneforge in Jacob's hand. So if he hits the land for this, he can throw another Stoneforge out there, which means that he gets an extra hit with the germ token.
You see Wilson, that's a tough ponder, as you can see him on the left side of the screen here. He's got a bolt in there. I think there's also a Force of Will and a Scalding Tarn are his options.
I think his plan right now is to hit with the Batter Skull 4 times and continue to throw other creatures out so that Cory can't. Every time Cory tries to -2 a Liliana, he'll get something that isn't the germ token.
Wilson's going to take the Lightning Bolt. He's going to keep with the ponder. So there is a Volcanic, and now he's going to shuffle away with the Stoneforge Mystic. Going to search up the Umezawa's Jite, shuffle his deck.
I think what he's doing here is right now he has a Cory on a 3-turn clock at 12 from the Batter Skull. Now Cory, technically the bolt doesn't change the clock. You know, 3, 4, and 4 is still isn't lethal. So Jacob needs Cory to crack a fetch land at some point in here. If Cory does that, he will have unknowingly taken a turn off his own clock.
All right. So let's see what Cory ends up drawing for the turn again. We know his hand right now is double Liliana, and I think his hand, he also has a bad lands over there. So is he going to stick to the game plan of return by punishing fire and kill something? Or is he going to progress forward in a different direction?
I mean, if he has enough mana, he'd like to do both at the same time. It depends whether or not he has any spell that isn't Liliana. He'd like to cast 2 things in one turn. He has an awful lot of mana. He's getting to the point where he can do that.
1.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
just maximum value. Looks like it's what he's going for. Which is a pretty solid way to play Jund. Just, you know, all value all the time.
I think his draw for the turn for Cory was a Dark Confidant. And if that's the case, he can do exactly what you mentioned, which is kind of the flashpoint of Jund of being able to play 2 spells in one turn.
Right, he could go Confidant, Punishing Fire this turn. Next turn he could go Liliana, Punishing Fire.
So, there's a Punishing Fire. Get that thing out of here. Let's see if he does have a Dark Confidant.
All right.
It's just, yep, there it is.
There we go. So Dark Confidant added to the board.
Now, the super interesting thing here is, does Dark Confidant go on chump blocking duty?
If I'm Cory Teran, I think the answer is yes. Maybe not. Yeah, I think your life total is really the only way you lose this game right now.
You know, you don't want to get yourself in range of getting double or triple bolted out or taking 2 hits from the Batter Skull. You see Dark Confidant here. I think Mr. Maher is going to be ready to block, but we'll see. We'll see.
Extra cards is very tempting, and Cory may take 1 hit, but I think the correct thing is for him actually to take none, just to play him as a chump blocker. He doesn't have to care at all about Jacob's life total. Cory is the control deck here.
That's interesting, too, because I think that Jacob is trying to set up the exact thing that you mentioned, which is get Cory to maybe accidentally sacrifice a fetch land, 4/4/3. But the swords in Wilson's hand makes it so he doesn't want to actually kill Dark Confidant.
Right,
He actually probably
14.
he probably actually wants Confidant out there to have it deal Cory damage.
Right, but the thing is, Jacob knows he's facing down 2 Lilianas as well. So he doesn't have the creature to protect the germ token anymore. So, you know, he kind of knows that Liliana's going to be pretty good here. He's really running out of steam, and there's not a readily apparent way for him to keep threats on the board.
All right, and Cory is going to chump block here, so Wilson's going to move to 27, and it's so easy for you and I in the booth to say, yeah, you should definitely chump block. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, look at this bolt in Jacob's hand.
But in reality, you know, if you're in Cory's seat in that situation, a chump block there is not as easy as it seems. You're basically playing a Bob just to throw it away for the turn.
Yeah, one thing that I do like is that Jacob here did not play the Umezawa's Jite because he wanted an extra card for a Liliana plus. I think he's identified that the name of the game here isn't how big can he make a creature, it's can he stick a single creature on the board. So he needs extra cards for Liliana's plus.
Cory going to separate lands. There's that fetch land that you did mention. Verdant Catacombs is going to join the table. Liliana looks like it's about to be placed onto the stack.
Yeah, the fetch land would make it just a 2-turn clock, except that Liliana's going to get the germ token here.
So Liliana is going to resolve down to when it goes. There goes your germ token.
Yeah, Jacob, with the 3 lands here, will probably bounce the Batter Skull. Question is, will he be able to get the Batter Skull back in play, before Cory can make him discard it?
He's going to leave it in play for right now. Wilson going to draw a card, a 3rd copy of Source of Plowshares. Not the ideal draw step here. And now Cory is beginning to turn the corner. He's going to be able to get back a Punishing Fire, which can take care of any really oncoming threats from Wilson. He's going to need a True Name Nemesis. at this point to actually have it be relevant is Cory's going to sacrifice that Verdant Catacombs and go down to 11.
Yeah, Cory really is kind of tightening the grip here. Um, his cards are all. What's interesting about the Jund deck is the cards Cory casts are continuing to work for him. You know, he's already cast a Liliana, but she's doing something every turn. He's already cast that Punishing Fire about 2 or 3 times. It still keeps returning to his hand, whereas Jacob's just running out of cards, and he's playing off the top of the deck, and now he's hit a kind of a dry patch on the top of his deck. He's hit 3 Swords to Plowshares. Those really have no decent targets in the Jund deck. Or not on this board, at least.
Alright, so Cory's going to untap. He'll take a draw. And we know he has Punishing Fire within the grip. He has an Abrupt Decay. He has another copy of Liliana. So luckily for him, he's got something that's easy to discard to Liliana. Just discard a Punishing Fire. Who cares?
Yeah, he's going to keep discarding that Punishing Fire just to add insult to injury here. And as we said, the Umezawa's Jite is discarded from Jacob.
Okay.
Alright, so that's now 2 mana. We'll play a Tarmogoyf for Cory. So now a win con finally is achieved.
Alright, so Tarmogoyf check I think we're going to do here just because. I think that thing's going to die in a moment.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah, he's got 3 swords burning a hole. But the worst, obviously the worst thing here for Wilson is that, he gets to eliminate a Tarmogoyf, but now Cory goes up to...
Liliana's just going to plus, and Cory really doesn't need the Tarmogoyf.
No, you have to exhaust Wilson's hand at this point. Swords of Plowshare is going to take care of the Tarmogoyf, and then Liliana go to work on the grip, and then you can just finish up with pretty much anything.
This reminds me of when you're playing a control deck and you have counter spells in your hand, and they remove one of your cards, and you just don't even counter it because you're just like, yeah, that's fine. You can get rid of my really cool looking card. That's not really how I'm playing.
No, just doesn't really matter all that much. Wilson is going to Lightning Bolt to take care of that copy of Liliana.
Yeah, Wilson from the Jataxian probe earlier in the game though, he knows there's another copy of Liliana waiting.
I think the draw was a Wasteland there, I believe?
Well, that's good. That's a step. Now he can get rid of the Grove, which means he can get rid of the Grove if he can find a way to get rid of the Liliana. Maybe he can answer Cory's card advantage engine. Maybe he can outdraw him.
And Cory's deck list, you oftentimes look for a Life of Loam because some people are starting to move a Loam to the main deck of these Jund decks to potentially lock their opponent with Wasteland, but no main deck Loam here.
Yeah, actually doesn't even play the sideboard Loam in this deck. So he's really just hasn't adopted that tech to the deck. What I think the card he's going to look for to get back in this is Jace. If he can get a land and a Jace, Jace can actually beat Liliana in a fight. And Jacob could get this game because there's no Punishing Fire Grove of the Burnwills interaction. Cory doesn't have a removal spell for Jace yet.
So here's a Liliana of the Veil. That's going to come in, obviously going to tick up. Wilson at the ready to discard. There's a Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, so Cory down to 1 card. It's an Abrupt Decay. No real target for it. And both sides are just going to sit around here. Jacob needs to find something before that, to answer that Liliana before she ults. He doesn't. He does not act. What does he have to draw to? We'll see. Yeah, he can keep plussing the Liliana. He's going to have to find. Well, it's really the Batterskull is the card that he can get by her with. Or he's going to have to double bolt it or something.
Yeah,
like
the first thing he has to do is just take care of that Liliana. That's obviously serving to be the biggest problem at this point. It will take a double bolt type scenario, and that's part of the reason I think that we saw Wilson bolt the first one is because he just has to work his way through this Planeswalker.
Yeah, he's going to have to work through it. And then he'll have to find a win con after it.
There's a Wasteland going to take down the White Source.
Yeah, that gets Jacob even farther from bouncing and recasting Batterskull. One thing that Jacob can do is he can draw to one of his 2 True Name Nemesis. If he gets rid of the Liliana first, and that's a big if, but if he does, right now Cory does not currently have an answer to True Name in his hand.
Cory was deciding if he wanted to take up or not because he's going to have to discard an Abrupt Decay, but Wilson's going to discard a 3rd Swords to Plowshare. So Wilson has 1 card left in his hand. That's a Lightning Bolt to put that Jace down to 2, so now he needs to peel 1 to get that, Liliana off the board, not Jace.
A draw by Jacob. He can't cast anything. And, well, that's going to be pretty good. A Bloodbraid Elf.
Ah, yes, the Cascade Wheel is what we will spin here, and we'll show you a Punishing Fire that's going to go upstairs.
Yeah, of all the things he could hit, that was actually a pretty tame one.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, as soon as Cory finds a grove of the Burn Willows,
Yeah.
it's going to come back. I like the very casual Spell Pierce from Jacob into 2 open mana. He knew the Spell Pierce would be being discarded anyway, so sure.
Bloodbraid Elf is going to come into the red zone here. So Wilson's going to take 5 damage total on the turn. And again, he is looking for a Lightning Bolt. There's a Volcanic Isle, and that means now that Liliana is going to be out of range of a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, Bloodbraid Elf going to continue to hit in here. And I think that Cory has assembled a board which Jacob can no longer answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has a way out of this. You know, thinking of just top decks that could happen. You know, Wilson draws, I think he's going to draw a Ponder to start, but if he draws like a True Nemesis, Liliana would have taken care of that, and then he could have hit a Lightning Bolt. But then that means that, you know, obviously, Cory gets draw steps too. He gets to play too, and with those draw steps, he's drawn creatures to actually start pressuring Wilson's life total.
Well, if you just look at the threats that Jacob has in his deck, I mean, and I mean all the threats. We have Delver of Secret, Stoneforge Mystic, True Name Nemesis, Batterskull, and Umezawa's Jite. I don't think any of those answer this current board.
He's in a rough spot, to be sure. The Dark Confidant did what it does. And so now Cory's going to play a Deathrite Shaman.
And the whole team's just getting assembled here. The Bloodbraid Elf, the Deathrite Shaman, Dark Confidant, Liliana.
Now I don't think there's... I think there's definitely no coming back now. There are no Pyroclasms or Rough Tumbles to be had in this board state. Wilson's going to return Batterskull over to his grip. That means he's got the 5th land. And it means he's going to get a Tundra and put Batterskull into play.
All right, this will force Cory to start minusing the Liliana instead of plussing it. Unfortunately for Jacob, I don't think Cory particularly minds that.
No, not at all. He can very simply here reveal a Dark Confidant. And there's your forest. Draw for the turn. Minus the Liliana, take care of the Germ token. Keep right on attacking.
Yeah, and one of the things, especially for games 2 and maybe 3, what Jacob's going to need to do is he's going to need to try to give his deck a little more inevitability if he can from the sideboard. These are situations where he actually drew to his out of the Wasteland to hit Punishing Fire, to hit the Grove of the Burnwillows and break the Punishing Fire combo. But by the time he got there, Cory just scored so many 2-for-1s off the Punishing Fire that Jacob had no way in his deck to recover from the situation. So he's going to need to look for more high-impact options if he has them available.
All right, my friends, we're going to bring back to the booth one of the last times for this evening, because it is trivia time, and very quickly I'll explain the rules. I'm going to fire away the question. I'm going to do both. If you don't mind, I'm going to be greedy.
All right.
All right. Very simply, get your Twitters ready. Follow at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. The question is a simple one, and we've asked it twice already this weekend, so if you get it wrong, it's kind of embarrassing. First week of 2014, we're going to be in a city. We're going to be doing a show. Patrick Sullivan and I will be bringing it to you in the first quarter of 2014. That first weekend in January, where are we going to be for the first show of the new year? If you can name that city, follow at SCG Live, hashtag your answer with the SCG Premium, and we will announce the winner at the conclusion of this round.
Yeah, that's going to be January 4th, 2014, the very next Star City Open we have.
That's right. Are you going to go?
I
know it's close to you.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know
Is
it's
it
close to you, but
me?
I'm not going to say where it is.
If it's close to me, I think I might go. But if I don't know, we'll have to see.
All right. All right. We'll take a look at the sideboards here between Wilson and Teran. And within Wilson's sideboard, he's got a lot of one-ofs. 1 Grim Lavamancer, a Grafdigger's Cage, 1 True Name Nemesis, a Swords to Plowshares, Pyroblast, Sword of Feast and Famine, Wear Tear. And then he's got 2 Aethersworn Canish, 2 Meddling Mage, 2 Rest in Peace. What's got you excited here in his board?
Well, more threats, more things that are hard to answer. That'd be the first thing I'd want to look at. So, True Name Nemesis. It's good against Jund. I'd want the 3rd copy of that right off the bat. Other things, I'd want the Sword of Feast and Famine. That covers 2 of the 3 colors of Jund. Granted, it doesn't stop Punishing Fire, it doesn't stop Liliana, but it does at least help you swing through cards like Tarmogoyf. Other things to look at, he does have Red Blasts. Those obviously don't work here. He could play Meddling Mage, naming Punishing Fire. It's not really what you'd want to be doing here, so I'm not particularly excited about that. I really just think it's the True Name Nemesis and the Sword.
Looking at Cory's side, he's got 2 Engineered Explosives, a Scavenging Ooze, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Diabolic Edict, 2 Golgari Charm, 3 Pyroblast, 2 Surgical Extraction, and 1 Thoughtseize. Now, Cory's been playing against these blue decks all throughout the elimination round here, so I know we're going to see Pyroblast, but outside of that, what else do you like here?
Well, we've seen Diabolic Edict come in against all the Rug Delver decks, and while this isn't Rug Delver, it is a deck where you can expect 3 True Name Nemesis post-board, and because of that, I would have to think that he's going to go ahead and board in the Diabolic Edicts here. In addition to that, he can use any number of cards. He can board in one of the Ancient Grudges if he wants to have a way to take out the equipment. Equipment are one of the things that he has a little more trouble with. And I really think those are the main weapons he's going to use in the matchup. Things like Scavenging Ooze and Engineered Explosives are okay, but a lot of the cards in his main deck are actually pretty good here. So I think the bar of what a card needs to get boarded in is pretty high.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see how both players do opt to sideboard here. As you see them all both shuffling up, taking a look at the deck list, and moving on accordingly. Don't forget, Matthias and I, we each do have a Modern Masters pack ourselves that we will be opening at the conclusion of this match. So I am going to open a Tarmogoyf. What are you going to open?
Well, I was going to say I was going to open an Eternal Witness, but I can't do that anymore because Jacob already opened the Eternal Witness.
Well, we give away 6 of
We
them.
have more than, there's more than one
there's
Eternal
6. Yeah, we give away 6 of each foil. So you have the opportunity to probably open a Tarmogoyf or an Eternal Witness, but it sounds like you want the Witness, so I'll give it to you.
All right. Well, let's see. I only had a couple chances to play Modern Masters. I'm gonna. Let's see. If I can't have a really great rare, we're gonna go with Thundercloud Shaman. I really liked playing that guy, and he was a great first pick, and he'd be good enough for my pack.
I think chances are I'm probably going to open a goblin like Mad Auntie or something and just be infuriated. Maybe
It's a black goblin. You can't even play that in goblins.
Yeah, I know. Maybe a tar pitcher. I could play that one.
You can Violet in.
Yeah, that sounds so good. Wow.
Have
I
more
broke
lords.
Does that
More
kill?
lords.
Does that kill a True Name Nemesis? No. Okay.
What does he tap to do? He has Mad Monty has a tap, doesn't it? Tap to like regenerate a goblin.
Yeah, textless basically. Might as well be.
It's a lord.
And first of all, it's regenerate another goblin.
There's
I know
another
it can't,
goblin.
I know it can't regenerate itself.
Well, that'd be far too powerful.
Yeah, the 2/2 definitely can't regenerate itself.
So better or
Thanks,
worse?
Watsy.
Better or worse than War Chief in your Goblins deck?
About the same.
All right.
Both just not good.
Still doesn't answer True Name Nemesis.
No. I'm just saying, could we get like a new goblin that does something soon, please?
Maybe it could blow itself up, or
Do you know what it's like when you have a token of yourself as a goblin and then you can't play it in a tournament because the deck is so bad? When I was playing Reanimator DC,
Yeah.
people are like, "Why aren't you playing goblins?" And it's like, "Cause the deck is just not good anymore." Like, so Reanimator, I'm like, I want to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay.
I'm useless. That's why I've become useless.
Maybe you can play Mogwog. There's another deck for Mog War Marshal. Maybe Goblin token. You could play it in just a red aggro deck. Little red men deck.
I do appreciate the optimism.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Maybe I could find a way to get Krinko into another deck.
Yeah,
I
he's
did
probably
work
good
hard to
outside
do
of
that.
goblins,
Or
right?
Siege Gang Commander. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe I could work on a Dragon Fodder deck.
You could Hyper Genesis into, Siege Gang Commander.
Cracked it. Format broken.
He's got a pretty sweet come into play ability.
He does.
And even then, you can Violent Outburst, and they'd pump all the Siege Gang tokens. You could swing for lethal. There'd be a ton of damage. Seems pretty decent.
When's the next Legacy tournament? Because I'm going to skip it if that's my deck.
It's January 4th, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Good segue. You're getting good at this.
Ooh. All right.
All right, both players are done shuffling. They can present the decks over. And then we'll start our second game here. Again, Cory Teran has defeated Shahar Shanhar in the quarterfinals. He defeated Ricky Sitter in the semifinals. Now he's trying to defeat everyone's heartthrob on the West Coast, Jacob Wilson.
It was Ricky's heartthrob. He had his entire T-shirt devoted to Jacob Wilson.
I know.
Big picture of him on the front. They were hoping to have that finals, but Cory Teran got in the way in the semis.
That would have been a
defeating
dream
Ricky.
come true. Really.
All right,
They lost. That means that Ricky Sitter and Shahar lost to the Jazz. That's pretty hard to do. They haven't won very much this year. I don't even know. That's a basketball team.
Is Cory from Utah?
That's a basketball
I know
team.
it is a basketball team. It's Cory from Utah. Is that what we're going?
I
with?
think so. He's wearing a Jazz hat.
All right, all right.
Yeah, it's purple, and it's got the little symbol, the Yaz flutes.
Yeah, I don't know if Golden State's supposed to be pretty good this year. I know that's where I think these guys are. They're from the Sacramento area, I want to say.
Yes, they are.
So probably
The
would.
Northern California area.
Yeah.
But they could be fans of the Sacramento Kings, who are just awful. even though they're my favorite team.
Yeah, they are pretty
They're
bad.
not good.
All right, looks like we are presenting here.
See Glenn Jones getting a stretch on. Glenn's last event.
Yes, this is Glenn's last event. He will. Yeah. So after a long, what is it? After a long tenure in the sideboard, Glenn will be sided out at
Yeah,
the end of this
for
tournament.
good. He's no longer good enough for the sideboard. But we're going to miss him, all jokes aside. It's been a
Yeah.
blast working with Glenn over the past year and a half, so he's taught me a lot, but he's moving on.
Yeah,
He'll be back.
he'll be back.
He'll
In the
be
next
back.
year, we'll be seeing more of Ruben Bresler in
That's
the sideboard.
All right, Jay Will. He's going to keep, and there's a ponder to start the show.
All right, so Stoneforge Mystic and another pair of lands for Jacob Wilson. And play or draw, I think, is not too different in this matchup, at least from Jacob's side. We saw he had the turn one Delver last game, but it really is about Jacob being able to kind of shut down Cory's card advantage engines. You know, he needs to make sure he has a Wasteland to answer Grove of the Burn Willows. He needs to kind of get around a Liliana. And it almost seems like that's more important in this matchup than how fast Jacob Wilson can present threats.
All right. Cory, he's ready.
Yeah, I think Jacob at that turn hid the Stoneforge Mystic on top of his deck to protect it from any sort of Thoughtseize or Inquisition.
I've already getting him going to sacrifice. We'll see what land he's going to search out. Will it be a basic or a non-basic here?
If you're Cory, I think in this matchup you can search out non-basics with a little more impunity because you almost would prefer that Jacob wastelanded your non-basics because that means he's not wastelanding your Grove of the Burn Willows.
So there's a Swamp, the basic.
Still could cast any of his 1-drops. He could cast Deathrite Shaman, could be Inquisition of Kozilek, could be Thoughtseize. Could just be a swamp that he wants to cast.
Swamp.
Could just be a swamp.
Swamp, there you go.
Could be a textless swamp.
Here's Thoughtseize. Stoneforge, Brainstorm, Ponder, Wasteland. So we've dodged that, and a Lightning Bolt.
There's no white land in here. I think Jacob hid the white land so that it couldn't get him. I don't. Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have it. Yeah, there's not a white land to cast those Stoneforges yet.
I want to believe there's a white land on top of his deck. I do.
He hid it there just so that if he got Thoughtseized, his opponent would be like, wait, there's no white.
Yeah, I like to believe that he hit it on top. We'll see. As Cory's going to write down the hand, see what he's going to take with his Thoughtseize. It's actually a pretty good hand here from Wilson.
Yeah, my guess is you just take the Brainstorm. Maybe if you have a Liliana, you want to take the Lightning Bolt. There's no one good card to take here.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I think taking Lightning Bolt is so unexciting. Taking a cantrip is also unexciting because there's a backup cantrip, and then obviously taking a Stoneforge Mystic doesn't really do anything.
Normally you take Brainstorm because Brainstorm gives Jacob the ability to replace his cards with other cards, but I don't really think he's going to want to replace any of these cards at any point soon. They're all pretty good. And this is the hand where I was talking about. It has a threat. It has Bolt as an answer to Liliana. It has Wasteland as an answer to Grove of the Burn Willows. This is the hand that's legitimately scary for Cory.
And normally Thoughtseizes don't take this long. I don't want to say the decision's very cut and dry with Thoughtseizes a lot of the time, but you know, there's something that really does stand out as the card that you want to take. But I think this is a really, really difficult decision. Decides to go with the Stoneforge Mystic and passes the turn back. So Wilson will take a draw, and unsurprisingly, there's a Tundra on the top of his deck.
So what I think that means is that Cory probably has the 2-mana kill spell for the Stoneforge Mystic. You know, maybe an Abrupt Decay, maybe a Punishing Fire, but he wants some way to prevent Jacob Wilson from sneaking a quick Batterskull into play.
All right, well, there's the Batterskull. So we'll see what Cory has in his hand.
Yeah, Cory has to be sure to protect himself from Wasteland. I do think we'll be seeing either an Abrupt Decay, like I said, Abrupt Decay or a Punishing Fire, some way to deal with the Mystic. But he may have to search out a duel to do so, in which case he'd be opening himself up to Wasteland. We will see here. If that Stoneforge is killed, Jacob won't have any pressure on the board. He'll have plenty of answers, but not much pressure.
Cory takes a draw. It is a Grove of the Burn Willows. That is an important one.
Yeah, and if he can, he would like to hide that Grove from the Wasteland.
There's no Wasteland going to take down the white source because he can safely do that knowing that Wilson doesn't have one on top of his deck. Now, yes, the Deathrite Shaman will get taken down by the Lightning Bolt that's in grip, but by cutting off the white source from from Wilson. It makes it so he has a top deck one to put Batterskull into play.
Yeah, he doesn't know he doesn't have one, but Jacob
He
did
does
shuffle
know.
last turn.
But he does know because on turn 1 he thought seized him, and then he drew a Tundra, so he knew the contents of his hand. He knows every card in his hand outside of the card that was drawn.
Yeah, he would have to top deck it this turn. So, but if he can, Jacob will be in a pretty good spot. And
Had it.
He had it.
Had it.
That's a pretty huge draw for Jacob, meaning he'll get that Batterskull down. And Cory's gonna be under some pressure now, with a 4/4 Vigilance Germ Token, Lifelink, staying across from him.
Wow, he's gonna ponder instead of putting Batterskull into play.
All right.
This is why I love watching Jacob Wilson play.
That is
every
not
time,
the play I would have made.
yeah, every
but
time
it's probably
I think,
right.
yeah, every time I think I know what he's gonna do, he does something opposite, which is why I will never ever play a Delver deck in my entire life.
If he's committed to bolting the Deathrite Shaman here, you know, Cory didn't have the 2-mana removal last turn. He doesn't need the 2, means he probably doesn't have it this turn, and that Jacob can further develop his hand with Ponder instead of spending the turn putting the Batterskull into play.
So he's going to cast a Ponder instead of taking the opportunity of Batterskull into play, which means, as you mentioned, that we're probably committed to just pondering, figuring out if we're happy with what we've got, and then Lightning Bolting the Deathrite Shaman, attacking for 1 with the Stoneforge, and being content with our turn.
Yeah, so we see deciding putting those 3 back. And we will see Lightning Bolt for the Deathrite Shaman.
There's your attack for 1, and that's going to complete Wilson's turn. So let's see what Cory's up to on his turn.
Yeah, we see a Bloodstained Mire drawn by Cory. So he still doesn't have that 2-mana removal spell, so Jacob will be able to use the next turn to put Batterskull into play.
It doesn't seem like to me that Cory has another removal spell at this point to be able to take care of that Stoneforge Mystic. So Batterskull looks like it's going to be on the way. You see a Deathrite Shaman. There's a Golgari Charm in hand as well.
So he's boarded in Golgari Charm in this matchup. Probably just another way to deal with a True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, you want to have as many answers as possible.
Yeah, the card. This is what I imagine Cory would view this as a good matchup. He just wants to make sure he doesn't lose to the card that can beat him.
We can also take care of a Delver's Secrets before it flips as well. So it's got some utility. We could see it regenerate a creature off of a Lightning Bolt, which isn't something that's going to happen a ton, but again, it's something that can happen. So that's why you got to love those charms since they do so many things.
Yeah, well, now that the Wasteland is out of Jacob's hand, Cory can reveal that he did have a Grove of the Burn Willows in play.
I wonder what we're going to see here on 2-land.
Well, there's a Tarmogoyf in Cory's hand. He can make that play. Though really that won't help too much with Batterskull. I think he was counting Graveyard to count how big his Goyf was going to be when he played it.
So there's a Tarmogoyf. Wilson goes up to 20, and we'll see exactly how big Tarmogoyf is. And it's a 4/5, so we can tango with the Batterskull. True Name off the top.
That is pretty good here. Jacob has another Wasteland. So you want the True Name or do you want the Batterskull? I think it's the True Name.
He's going to Wasteland the Grove. And I like this play here, actually, where he just goes Wasteland Grove, leave up Batterskull, pass the turn back.
Right. And as soon as he hits another land, he'll be able to cast that True Name.
Dark Confidant the card here for Cory.
Yes.
Cory has a backup Grove, which is nice.
Yeah, Jacob only has so many Wastelands. Jacob did spend a Wasteland on one thing that was not a Grove, which means that if Cory can draw all his Groves, Jacob can't waste all of them.
That's true. So there is your Grove. And is it going to be time for Bobby? Oh, excuse me, that's a Bloodstain. I take that back. Grove still in the grip.
Yeah, it's probably because he doesn't have another one. Cory's going to protect this Grove for as long as possible before playing it, just in case Jacob top decks another Wasteland.
Cory deciding exactly what land he wants to search for here.
Yeah, I imagine it would be, well, actually he does not have access to a Taiga, I don't think. So all the lands do produce black, so it's just going to be a Bayou.
And of course, sandbagging the red source and the Grove of the Burn Willows that we mentioned in the hand. So Wilson does not know the contents of Teran's hand at this point. I think we might see him deploy, and I think he's got a Deathrite Shaman in his hand too. I think we're just going to watch him deploy Bobby and pass it back.
All right, Dark Confidant for Cory, so he doesn't have an answer right now to the Stoneforge Batterskull. Or not a permanent answer, but he does have a Dark Confidant, and so he can start looking for one.
Yeah, I mean, Tarmogoyf is certainly okay in this situation, just being a 4/5 wall at this point that Batterskull can't get through.
Yep, and it looks like Cory will pass the turn. Jacob has to decide whether or not he wants to brainstorm here or put the Batterskull into play. Batterskull was one of the things he wanted to play early on, but it doesn't actually break the board open here. Nonetheless, he still will make the Batterskull on end step.
And so brainstorming in a turn is borderline illegal as a wasteland drawn off of the top by Wilson
Third
again.
one. Yeah, so now what Jacob needs to do is he needs to make this true name Nemesis, and if he can, I mean, really the Nemesis is enough by itself. Of course, if he can connect that Batterskull ever onto the Nemesis, that'll just be incredibly good.
Wasteland, now true name going to come into play. So this means that that Wilson gets to, or excuse me, that Teran gets to do the show with Dark Confidant.
Alright, so now he's searching for an answer to True Name Nemesis. The card flipped is a Verdant Catacombs. That's no help.
Well, I
And
mean,
he
he's
has
perfectly.
a second draw.
He's doing fine against True Name. I don't think that really causes that much of a problem because he has a Golgari Charm in his hand. It's just the fact that he would have to lose Dark Confidant at this point. He would have to trade. He'd basically 2-for-1 himself to take care of True Name, which, again, I think is okay in this situation.
Well, Dark Confidant did give him an extra card, so by 2-for-1ing himself, he's 1-for-1ing himself in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd like to get as many extra cards off Bob before killing True Name Nemesis as possible. The question, you know, can he afford to maybe get one more card, I think is the question here.
Marshflight's going to come in. Cory going to sacrifice that. So he's going to take a little bit more life. He's going to get a black-red source in Badlands. Again, he's still holding that Grove of the Burn Willows that he does not want to show to Jacob just yet to let him know that the Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willows engine is on. And as he presents his deck over to Wilson, let's see what he wants to do on this turn. Think he's got a Deathrite Shaman and a copy of the Golgari Charm that he might just want to resolve now and doesn't want to risk it getting countered.
Yeah, let's see, he's going to start out. Yeah, and that is a good point. If he does know that there are dazes in Jacob's deck, so if he wants to go for the Golgari Charm, he probably should do it first before playing, as it's the spell he needs to resolve. He should do it before playing something like Deathrite Shaman.
I'm just gonna pass. This is interesting.
Well, I think he's committed to Golgari Charming and playing around Daze, so maybe he's going to do it on Jacob's turn. The problem is that Jacob appears has drawn a Spell Pierce.
Yeah, he can get lit up by Spell Pierce really bad here. So now here's a Brainstorm. So hit 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and that sequencing could be really bad for Cory here. That was his answer to True Name Nemesis, and those sometimes take a long time to show up, considering his other answers are all Edict effects, and Jacob has a full 3 creatures on the board.
Alright, so a couple cards go back. Spell Pierce can stay in the game. Ooh, Gitaxian Probe is gonna let Jacob
Cory's
know.
not really keen on letting that happen.
Yeah,
is he?
he's gonna let Jacob know exactly what's up now. So this should be fun. See if we have a response here.
All right, Jig's up. He's gonna go for the Golgari Charm, but I think he's gonna find out that waiting that turn there really ended up hurting him. So he goes for Golgari Charm, but Jacob's sitting here with the freshly drawn Spell Pierce from this turn. Looks like he'll get to save his True Name Nemesis. And he's deciding whether or not he wants to pierce this. I can't think of another spell that he needs to pierce more. There's other cards like Liliana that are very good here, but this pretty much, I think this just has to be pierced. True Name is so good in this matchup.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't pierce this. Just a little pierce plus Wasteland action. And yeah, there's a pierce here.
Yeah, remember that was not in Jacob's hand until this turn.
And now here's the grip. There's the Grove that we've been sandbagging. Got a fetch
like
land. I
two
think
more lands.
Yeah, and then maybe a Liliana. It's a little bit off of the camera to be able to see, but Wilson at the end of the day is working with perfect information, which is all that matters for him. And now he can choose to Wasteland if he wants to, or if he doesn't want to. Again, might not want to Wasteland at this point just because he knows that Cory has more lands in his hand.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't make sense to try to take Cory off lands. He has too many of them. I think he's just going to save the Wasteland for a potential Grove of the Burn Willows. Yeah, and we did know that one of those lands in Cory's hand was Grove of the Burn Willows, so that's pretty much has the Grove's name on it. He does swing in with True Nemesis, and now putting Cory at 11, that will be a 4-turn clock. And probably fewer, because Dark Confidant eventually will deal some damage to Cory.
Doesn't do it that time, though. There's a Grove of the Burn Willows off of the top, but the last thing that Cory needs now is more lands. He needs some action. And step 1 would be taking care of the True Nemesis. Now, he does have one more Golgari Charm in his deck to draw to get himself out of this situation. Again, it would take care of his Dark Confidant, which would certainly be annoying. But I think the more annoying thing right now for him is the fact that True Name Nemesis is just beaten on down right now.
Yeah, well, let's look at the answers that Cory actually has to True Name Nemesis in his deck post-board. You said he has the 2 Golgari charms. The other answers, though,
2 Diabolic Edicts. He could have boarded an Engineered Plague. He's got 2 copies of that. And he has 4 copies of Leon of the Veil, which obviously aren't going to be very good right now because he's got to slog through a Germ Token and a Stoneforge Mystic. But he can get it taken care of. Here's a Thoughtseize from Cory. That's going to bring him from 11 to 9.
that was a pretty big jump. That took a turn off his life total right there. And you just said with those answers, unless he has those Engineered Plagues, he's actually pretty much drawing to a 1-outer. He does the other ways you mentioned, Diabolic Edict, Liliana of the Veil, they're all sacrifice-based effects, and it seems unlikely that Cory will be able to get that True Name Nemesis before it kills him.
Well, this is a good start in the right direction because Deathrite Shaman is going to be able to allow Cory to gain potentially a little bit of life. There aren't any creatures in the graveyard right now, I don't think. You see the Golgari Charm and the Thoughtseize over there, Ponder and some other cantrips on Wilson's side, as Wilson drew a Lightning Bolt for the turn, so he can actually take care of Deathrite or Dark Confidant whenever he sees fit, or he can save that to just go upstairs, and now this game would be actually a 2-turn clock as opposed to a 3-turn clock.
You could be, I mean, with the right Dark Confidant flip, it could be a 1-turn clock.
That's true, too. There are some 3-drops in the deck. Of course, we did mention Liliana of the Veil. Bloodbraid Elf is a 4. Maelstrom Pulse to Singleton's a 1. If Engineered Plague's in the deck, that's obviously a 3. So this game could end in 1 turn.
All right, so Cory's down to 6 with that True Name Nemesis hit.
Gonna go reaching maybe for Wasteland? Yep.
Yeah, I think he Wastelands now because he can't win the Grove fight. He saw Cory already reveal another Grove. So Cory has 2 Groves in hand. Jacob just can't keep him off Grove of the Burn Willows anymore. So might as well take down his mana.
Mm-hmm. So there goes the Bayou. And Delver gonna come in now for Wilson. He's gonna leave up that Volcanic Calling for a Lightning Bolt. Cory's gonna go down to 5. And now he's actually opening himself up more because now
Dark Confidant, yeah.
we just opened up a whole new page of outs that Dark Confidant can kill Cory with, because now that adds Dark Confidant itself, it adds Tarmogoyf, it adds Abrupt Decay, it adds Punishing Fire, it adds Hymnotorak, it adds Diabolic Edict and Golgari Charm from the sideboard.
It adds a few cards.
Just a touch. Ancient Grudge as well. This could get ugly.
Alright, so we'll see what Dark Confidant flips here.
If it's a spell, there's just such a high percentage chance that he's dead. I mean, even if he turns over a Thoughtseize, like Thoughtseize splits in the 4, but that's not even a card in this situation. So Bobby turns over a Bloodstained Mire.
Alright, Cory's going to get 1 more turn.
Good Bobby. Good Bobby.
But he didn't draw the Golgari Charm, so I think it's going to be a problem nonetheless.
Yeah, especially when we're in the situation here. And he's just going to pack it in knowing that True Name is going to actually attack, and then there's a chance that Delver's going to flip. And I don't know if he knows about the Lightning Bolt in hand, but either way, Cory has 3 lands in his hand, and there's no creatures in the graveyard to remove to Deathrite Shaman. So that's going to do it for that second game. Jacob Wilson is going to tie things up here in our final match of 2013 here on the Open Series circuit. We got 1 more game to play between Blue-White Red Delver and Jund. Cory Teran is going to be on the play. Jacob Wilson will be on the draw. When we take a look at the sideboards one more time, it looks like Cory isn't going back to it. Jacob, taking a deep breath, looking at his 15.
Well, this has turned out to really be a tough fight for Jacob Wilson. In that game, it took a little bit of help on his part. There was that 1 Golgari Charm play, which really allowed Jacob to keep his True Name Nemesis. Without that one, it might have been a 2-0 game for Cory. So we'll see how this third game progresses. A lot of things just have to go Jacob's way. It seems like Cory really does have the tools to kind of grind Jacob out of these games.
Alright, so again, Cory is happy with his configuration. Jacob is taking a look back at his. And again, as these players do sideboard, for our last tweets of the year at SCG Live, hashtag SCGINVI, as we put a close on the coverage of 2013, and we crown one last champion this weekend. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Matthias Hunt here in the Cashman Center in Las Vegas. We've already crowned 2 champions today. We watched an invitation be won by Max Brown playing Mono Black Devotion. Tim Rivera, Standard Open, Mono Black Devotion.
I was really hoping a Pox deck was going to win the Legacy Open just so we could say only Swamps had won today. But you know, I'll take Jund. It's a pretty black deck, especially the Legacy Jund deck. I'd say it's more black than any other color.
Yeah. Plays kind of the same like Mono Black does. Kill your stuff, beat you down with some efficient threats, make you feel miserable the whole time via Thoughtseize. I think Thoughtseize is the
There
thing
you
that
go.
ties it all together, right?
Yep, every deck likes to is Thoughtseize and a bunch of kill spells.
Yeah. That's how
It's
the
really
game
just the same
was-
kill spells, right? Thoughtseize, Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how the game was meant to be played, man. Make your
Just-
discard and then kill all your stuff.
yeah, don't play things. Just kill your opponent's things.
You people in your Revelations, those kindly leave. No more of that.
You could probably still play Revelation. I mean, Revelation's not that different. It's still just killing all your opponent's things. Just does something different at the end.
Yeah, card's no fun. All right, it's kind of fun.
It's a one-card combo.
It's kind of fun. actually.
You played that on. I've seen your stream, and you have enjoyed casting Sphinx
I have
Revelation.
enjoyed casting. It is actually a delight. I take it all back.
When you cast Revelation for 7, and one of the 7 is another Revelation, you just feel like you're cheating.
Yeah, it is an absolute delight. You see Wilson's going to take a look at the deck list one more time. Cory's actually going to go back to the sideboard here as well. Again, I don't think a ton changes, especially after sideboard. I think, again, I think Cory's going to want to bring in some number of Ancient Grudges to be able to take care of the equipment, Diabolic Aid, take care of True Name Nemesis, but all the cards he kills with Diabolic Aid are good in this matchup. Golgari Charm, which we know is already in his deck after sideboard, is going to be good at taking care of True Name or a Delver of Secrets. Pyroblast, going to be pretty good here. Additional discard spell in Thoughtseize, but I don't know if he's going to want that. I think he's actually just happy with his 6. Actually, has 9 in his main deck with Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and Hymnotorac all being 3 of, so I'm not sure he's going to need any more of those. For Wilson's side, pretty much the same deal. I mean, he's got additional True Name that I think he's going to want. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants Rest in Peace in this particular matchup.
Well,
Sword of Feast and Famine, stuff like that.
Yeah, Rest in Peace is an interesting card here. It's something that Delver decks in the past have not had much access to because they're the Grug Delver decks, for example. Rest in Peace is a card you board against them. They play Tarmogoyf, they play Nimble Mongoose, but this time it's Jund that plays the Tarmogoyfs, and more importantly, it's Jund that plays the Punishing Fires. So it wouldn't be unreasonable for Jacob to board it in. That said, it is a card that Jund doesn't have to remove, so I do think that Jacob is the aggressive deck here, in the sense that if the game was long enough, I think Jund has the better late game, the better lock. So Jacob has to be careful about playing cards that aren't proactive, because every time he plays a card that Cory doesn't have to deal with, then he puts Cory one step closer to having control of the game.
Yeah. Looks like they're happy with their configs as we get ready for the third and final one here. Again, if you guys missed any of our announcements this weekend that we made at the beginning of the show on Friday, you can go to StarCityGames.com. You can find out all about the new things that are happening in 2014, new tokens that we're doing, quarter 2 schedule for the Open Series, changes to the commentating booth, the leaderboard that we're implementing, all the fun stuff that we're doing on the Open Series circuit for 2014. Of course, you can find out about Grand Prix Richmond, which is a modern event that we'll be doing as well in quarter 1. New articles are updated as well right now. Got some pieces of work by Patrick Chapin and a bunch of other guys there on Star City Games. It's a busy, busy time in Magic, but we've got one more match before we call it a wrap here, Matthias.
Yeah. We look at Cory's hand. It's got Bloodbraid Elf, Pyroblast, Dark Confidant. It has the right spells. I don't know if it has the right lands to it. He might be keeping something that's a little risky on lands. It looks like it has a Grove of the Burnwillows and a Forest. I don't know if it has a black source in it.
He's going to ship it on back. And he did the deadly thing. He looked. He wanted to know. Do you look? Do you look when you mulligan? Do you look at the top cards?
Always.
Always has been announced.
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, it doesn't influence your decision. Just in case there were some outs I forgot about. I usually make my mulligans based on counting outs, doing an approximation of how good I think it is, and I want to look at the cards to see if there's something else I'd forgotten about.
Okay.
That way, next time you could do it better.
I mostly look to tilt myself.
That is also a valid strategy.
Yeah.
How often does it work, though? Do you tilt yourself?
Not a ton. Not a ton. But I have to know. I have this burning desire to know if my mulligan was good or not.
If you shuffle, so there's that moment. If you were to shuffle it away, then you realize that you'll never know, and that's just an infuriating feeling. Like, oh, you'll never know whether it would have gotten there.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the Gerard Fabiano approach of just don't mulligan.
Yeah,
it's never a problem. If you just keep, then what's there to worry about? Which is something I've also tried employing. So
that one can really work out poorly sometimes. I think what is the hand? I think there's the best hand I've ever seen or heard of Gerard keeping was 6 lands Praetor's Council in limited.
Easy keep.
Snap kept.
Yeah, easy keep.
Lost horribly.
Well,
it's Six
Had to
lands in
know.
it. Player's Council is a really good card. It's an 8-drop sorcery.
You only live once? That's what the kids say.
Well, I think as the story goes, he kept it again game 2.
I bet he won that one. Oh no, Cory going down to 5 here now. He didn't look that time. His hand must have been pretty bad if he didn't look that time.
Well, John is the kind of deck that really can recoup from this. Punishing Grove, if it becomes online, as we've seen, can be 2, 3, or 4 cards against the Delver deck.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a wasteland that can break it up. Daze can slow it down. Spell Pierce can slow it down. Force of Will can slow it down. But, I mean, it can undo a mulligan, which is the important thing. So if you're Cory here, I mean, it's not over yet, but it's certainly going to be an uphill climb when you're playing against a player of Jacob Wilson's caliber here. But again, as we've mentioned at the top, he already got through the world champion, Shahar Shenhar, and Ricky Sitter, who is an open champion as well.
Jund is a deck that in addition to being in a deck that that sideboards very well, it's a deck that mulligans very well. Cards, an unanswered Dark Confidant, for example, easy. Suddenly your mulligan to 5 is just fine. Same thing, Liliana, Punishing Fire. These Jund staples, these card advantage cards, can pull the deck out from a mulligan.
5 cards. You see a Badlands. I believe, a Grove of the Burn Willows here. So it looks like there's a couple of lands over there in Cory's hand.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'll be shipping it. It has a Liliana and some lands. So it has a game plan.
All right, there's a Grove to start. Interesting that he led with that one as opposed to a Badlands. Almost saying, I dare you to Wasteland this. As Delver of Secrets is going to show up.
If Jacob has a set of Wastelands in his hand, I don't think... this is just going to be really bad for Cory.
Dark Confidant off the top. Got to deploy that and cross the fingers.
But not going to resolve.
You know that's not going to actually. Well, he's not going to get to draw.
The only reason it didn't get dazed is because Jacob already had the Lightning Bolt, and we see the draw for the turn for Jacob was none other than a little innocuous 3-1.
Yeah, true game nemesis.
Yeah, good game nemesis.
Yeah. So Scalding Tarn's going to get sacrificed down, and 19's going to go Wilson. Get the Tundra, so now he has his mana online. Going to start by maybe cantripping. And that's what he's going to do with a Ponder.
Yeah, this should set up the Delver for next turn. So Jacob leaving up the red, the Telltale Lightning Bolt. And if he can flip the Delver, he will start to put that pressure on that you come to expect from Delver Secrets.
All right, so let's take a look at the top 3 here from Mr. Wilson. 2, 3. Stoneforge among them. Spell Pierce as well.
All right, so he has the instant to put on top. Or 2 more to leave on top. Yeah, and the third one's a Scalding Tarn, so he can keep as many or as few of these as he wants. Looks like he's going to draw the Stoneforge Mystic so that he can reveal the Spell Pierce next turn, and then put the Scalding Tarn 1 deep.
There's your bolt. There's your attack for 1. Jacob's deck operating exactly how he wants it to, as Cory's going to draw a Forest for the turn.
Yeah, Forest wasn't exactly what he was looking for. He was looking for a black mana to try to cast the Liliana of the Veil in his hand. Now, as we know, that would have been dazed, but he does have the third land. He opts for Forest instead of Wasteland and just passes back the turn.
Spell Pierce is going to let the Delver flip an Insectile Aberration, start by attacking for 3, put Cory down to 16.
And Misty Rainforest, Jacob could make True Name Nemesis this turn, but he's just going to go for Stoneforge Mystic.
Time to search for the equipment. There's the old Batterskull.
And when this is what the blue-white-red Delver deck does, it and the Stoneblade decks, in a lot of ways, sometimes still play in like a Jund deck in that, they have an awful lot of just all good cards themselves. You look at Jacob curving a 3-2 flyer for 1 into Stoneforge, into True Name Nemesis.
Tarmo with the draw here for Cory. I think it might be Bloodbraid Elf time, though. Yeah, it's time to spend the Cascade Wheel, try to get back in this thing.
Yeah, now Jacob does have a Daze, which can counter 1/2 of this Cascade Wheel. Grove of the Burn Wheel is probably the best thing he could have cascaded into.
Yeah, hitting the Punishing Fire there is a really, really big game. He's going to target the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, the thing is that even if Jacob counters this Punishing Fire, it's going to go to the graveyard, which means that Cory gets to get it back with Grove of the Burn Willows.
Daze is going to take care of that.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. Bloodbraid Elf, I think, is going to stick around here. I'll see if he's allowed to attack with that. Because he could have Spell Pierced. He could have Spell Pierced the Punishing Fire and then Daze the Bloodbraid Elf if Jacob wanted to, but he opted not to.
Yeah, I think what he's going to do is he's going to Spell Pierce the Punishing Fire again on its next way down.
Okay. Assuming that Cory doesn't have a land, of course. That works
yeah,
out.
and I mean, but even then it'll take Cory's whole turn. Remember, Jacob doesn't need to maintain control of this game forever. He just needs it long enough to put Cory to 0.
Okay. Insect Vibration coming to come in. Gonna knock Cory down to 13.
Yep, this leaves up just enough mana for Jacob to make a Batterskull and cast a Spell Pierce.
Liliana the Veil to draw off the top here for Cory.
Yeah, that's a second Liliana, which would typically be a good draw, except for the fact that he only has single black right now. His best play probably is just going to be to rebuy and recast the Punishing Fire.
Yeah, even though it's a pretty unexciting one.
Yeah, and he doesn't have another land, so that Spell Pierce will be very effective as well.
So let's see exactly what Cory wants to do on this turn. You see he's going to reorganize his mana, almost kind of a, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because he's on a mulligan to 5. He doesn't really have the luxury of making, a lot of decisions. He's just kind of got to play what he's been given here and hope it kind of works out for the best. Does have a Tarmogoyf that he can cast, which is fine. The situation is he going to attack? Ooh, he might attack for 3 here. And that's kind of interesting. If he attacks for 3 and then tries to take down the Batterskull with the Punishing Fire, he gets absolutely wrecked by the Spell Pierce. But he knows about the Spell Pierce in Jacob Wilson's hand from the Delver, so he can't make that play.
Yeah, he knows he's playing into the Spell Pierce, but if he doesn't play around it, he doesn't have many other great plays. So we'll start with a swing. Well, he doesn't really want to swing into. He's swinging into a Batterskull.
Yeah, that's bold. All right, there's a Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, that will give him the ability to play Liliana next turn. He still has enough mana up to get back the Punishing Fire and punish something. Almost likely he's going to try for the Insectile Aberration.
Yeah, he's going to leave enough mana on the end step to say, yeah, get back my Punishing Fire, try to Punishing Fire your Delver. That's flipped an Insectile Aberration, but the Spell Pierce is really going to blow that up. And I'm actually pretty impressed here with how good Spell Pierce is in this matchup.
Yeah, Cory's going to wait to try that play until it's back on Jacob's turn, so that Jacob has to use the Spell Pierce mana on his own turn. But I have to think we will be seeing a Spell Pierce happen.
He's going to do it on the end step. Maybe he's just going to return on the end step. Let's see.
All right. Well, he returns Punishing Fire. Yeah, I would think he wouldn't want to do it on end right now. I think he's forgotten about the Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so he's going to try to target the Delver.
Yeah, I think Jacob's piercing this.
Yep. I think it's an easy pierce, and unfortunately here, a bit of a misstep by Cory, because now Wilson's going to get to use all of his mana on his own turn. There wasn't really much of a benefit to doing it on the end step, in my belief.
Yeah, what that means is that Jacob, with double Ponder and all, with all these cantrips, having more mana is always where you want to be. And you see a bunch of Force of Wills on top of the deck, and I have to think that's what Jacob will do. Now, what I find amusing about this game is, if you were to say what the most important card in this matchup was, post-sideboard, what would you say it is on Jacob's side?
On Jacob's side, probably True Name Nemesis.
Okay, so Jacob has had the option to play True Name Nemesis for about the last 3 turns, and just hasn't.
Yeah?
Just hasn't.
He's so patient.
Yeah, he's just winning with the traditional powerhouse cards. But now it's time for the Haymaker. It's time for True Name Nemesis. If Cory thought things were bad before, now he has a True Name Nemesis on the battlefield, and we are 1 mana away from Batterskull being shoved onto True Name Nemesis.
Oh, that's fun for everyone.
Yeah.
That would be fun beatable. That's what that would be.
All right, we have 2 Lilianas here. The land for Cory. He can Edict. That'll probably get the Stoneforge Mystic at this point.
Yeah. Cory's going to go down to 9. Is he facing lethal on the next turn? Almost.
Well, no, he's not lethal because Deathrite Shaman can gain 2 life.
Okay.
It's really close to lethal. It would require him to hit a removal spell for True Name Nemesis on the following turn, but it would have to be a removal spell that isn't an Edict effect. I don't think he's drawing live.
There is your Liliana.
All right.
Jacob says that's fine.
Jacob. By the way, Jacob's remaining 2 cards are True Name Nemesis and Force of Will. So Force of Will, blue card, and oh yeah, Liliana's fine.
Yeah. Follow up.
He may follow up with another Liliana.
He's got a Tarmogoyf in the grip.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great blocker.
If it resolves. There that is.
Jacob might let it no, he's probably going to counter.
I think he counters that with the Force Will removing Ponder. Does he care about that Tarmogoyf? It's just kind of like in the way at this point.
Yeah, probably lets it resolve.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is why I suck and he's great.
It can't block True Name, it can't block Delver, and this is going to be lethal.
And that's going to be lethal. So True Name is going to equip You get equipped by Batter Skull, so that's going to be attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the air, and that is going to do it. Jacob Wilson wins his 3rd Legacy Open in the StarCityGames.com Open Series circuit, this time with Blue-White-Red Delver, defeating Cory Teran in 3 games, and he is our last champion here in 2013. Congratulations.